Have you ever wondered how far so-called civilized societies once went to justify their power? There was a time, not too long ago, when entire nations celebrated exhibitions where human beings, especially black men, women, and children, were displayed like objects, behind cages, under bright lights, and in front of cheering crowds. This is the chilling history of human zoos, a dark chapter in humanity that many prefer to forget, yet must never be erased. The roots of human zoos began in the late 19th century during the height of European imperialism. Western nations had conquered vast territories in Africa, justifying domination with pseudoscience, claiming that Europeans were more evolved than other races. To prove this false hierarchy, European colonizers created exhibitions to display people from colonized lands, particularly Africans. These exhibitions were marketed as scientific studies, cultural showcases, or educational wonders. But the truth was much darker. Human beings were reduced to entertainment, turned into spectacles that fit Western fantasies about primitive tribes. In the 1870s and early 20th century, World's Fairs were massive events, drawing millions. These exhibitions showcased industrial progress, new discoveries, and, horribly, displays of humanity. Countries that hosted human zoos included America, France, England, Germany, Belgium, Switzerland, and Norway. Colonial organizers built artificial villages to showcase Africans, Native Americans, Asians, and Pacific Islanders. Visitors came not to learn, but to stare. Africans often wore costumes chosen by European organizers, forced to imitate dances, rituals, or lifestyles that conformed to stereotypes created by colonial propaganda. These exhibitions were attended by royalty, scientists, politicians, and middle-class families. Newspapers advertised them. Children were taken to see them, and almost everyone at the time called them beautiful and fascinating. One of the most infamous displays occurred in Brussels, Belgium in 1897. King Leopold II, eager to promote his control over the Congo Free State, built a massive Congo village inside the Brussels World Fair. He imported 267 Congolese men, women, and children. They lived in artificial huts. They were ordered to perform daily life. They were given limited food, poor living conditions, and no freedom. Millions of Europeans watched them like exhibits. 7 of the Congolese people died before the exhibition even ended. It was colonial propaganda, designed to convince Europeans that Africans needed European control and civilization. Perhaps the most heartbreaking example is the story of Ota Benga, a young Buti man from the Congo. In 1904, he was taken by American explorer Samuel Verner and shipped to the United States. At first, Ota Benga was displayed in the St. Louis World Fair, where crowds gawked at him and newspapers called him the Pygmy. But the worst came 2 years later. In 1906, the Bronx Zoo placed Ota Benga in the monkey house, literally next to chimpanzees and orangutans. His label read, "The African Pygmy, age 23, height 4 feet 11 inches. Crowds laughed at him. They poked him, threw peanuts, mocked his teeth, and demanded that he danced. Newspapers referred to him as a living link between man and beast. Black ministers in New York protested fiercely. They demanded his release. Eventually, after public pressure, Ota Benga was removed from the zoo and placed in an orphanage. But the trauma never left him. Separated from his home, his family, and his culture, Ota Benga struggled with depression and displacement. In 1916, he tragically ended his own life. Ota Benga's story is not just the story of one man.
It is the story of an entire system that dehumanized people for entertainment and profit.
Although Belgium and the United States are often highlighted in this history, many other countries participated, including, first, France. France was among the most active in organizing these inhumane exhibitions. France began hosting these exhibitions in 1877, and by 1931, France had hosted dozens of exhibitions featuring Africans from Senegal, Madagascar, and the Congo. These exhibitions often portrayed Africans as warriors, savages, or exotic tribes. Second, Germany. German colonies in Africa, including Namibia, Cameroon, and Tanzania, provided human exhibits for zoos in Hamburg and Berlin. Some African exhibitors died from the cold as they were forced to perform outdoors in the winter. Norway, Italy, Spain, and Switzerland all held human exhibitions at various times, drawing thousands of spectators. Wherever these zoos existed, the message was the same. Black people were considered inferior, uncivilized, and objects of curiosity. This wasn't science, this was racism disguised as education at the time. The reason these zoos were created at that time was supported by the so-called scientific field of racial anthropology, led by white European scientists who measured skulls, noses, and body proportions to prove racial hierarchy. They claimed that Africans were closer to nature, Europeans were more evolved, and that different races were species that determined the dignity of a region. These theories gave European governments a way to defend their inhumane actions, and they were able to convince the public that human zoos were research, not cruelty. By the 1930s, human zoos began to decline. Several factors contributed: growing criticism from African American activists, pressure from church groups and human rights advocates, scientific rejection of racist theories, changing public attitudes, the horrors of World War II, which exposed the dangers of racial ideology. The last major human zoo is believed to have occurred in 1958 in Brussels, where Congolese people were once again displayed during the World Expo. Not ancient history, not a distant era, a time when televisions already existed and rock and roll was popular.
Some may ask, why talk about this now? Why reopen old wounds? Because history does not disappear when we ignore it, and because the legacy of human zoos continues to shape racial attitudes, inequalities, and stereotypes today. Understanding this history teaches us how racism was constructed, not accidental, how colonialism justified itself using lies, how millions accepted the unacceptable, believing it was normal, and how important it is to challenge injustice even when society celebrates it. Remembering human zoos is not about guilt, it is about accountability, awareness, and ensuring such horrors can never happen again.